Welcome to Consumer Connection. My name is Susan Jones, Branch Manager with Fairfax County Consumer Affairs. Today our guest is Lori Schock, Director of the Office of Investor Education and Advocacy at the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Welcome, Lori.
Thank you, Susan, and thank you so much for having me on the program.
Today's topic is on preventing investment fraud, and we'll hear from the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Now, Lori, before we dive in, will you remind us what the Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC, does?
Well, we are a federal agency, but before I begin, I'm required to share a brief disclaimer that the SEC's Office of Investor Education and Advocacy is providing this information as a service to investors. This presentation is not a statement of official SEC policy, a legal interpretation, or investment advice. So with that out of the way, the Securities and Exchange Commission is a federal government agency with a three-part mission. First is to protect investors, then maintain fair, orderly, and efficient markets, and finally, facilitate capital formation. The agency oversees more than $100 trillion in securities trading on U.S. equity markets each year. And the agency works to make a positive impact on America's economy, our capital markets, and people's lives. Specifically, the SEC monitors the market environment, adjusts rules, regulations, and oversight tools and activities as appropriate. The agency facilitates capital formation by providing companies and entrepreneurs with a variety of ways to access the U.S. economy's capital markets to help them create jobs, develop life-changing innovations in technology, and provide financial opportunities for those who invest in them. And the agency protects investors by enforcing the federal securities laws, holding wrongdoers accountable, and providing resources to help investors evaluate their investment choices and protect themselves against fraud.
Well, Lori, that was very helpful. Thank you. So how about your office? What is your area of focus within the agency's responsibilities?
Well, I lead the SEC's Office of Investor Education. We focus on protecting investors and that part of the SEC's mission by providing educational materials to help investors make better informed investment decisions. We believe that knowledge is power and that the best way for investors to protect themselves is to learn investing basics, understand the risks, and know how to spot and avoid investment fraud. We manage the SEC's investor.gov website to provide a wealth of useful information such as financial planning tools and calculators and other resources to help investors learn how to create a saving and investing plan to help them reach their financial goals, build wealth, and protect their hard-earned money. The SEC's Investor Education Program produces investor alerts and bulletins to warn investors about how to avoid the latest investment scams, as well as information on current investment topics and trends. And then there's also the investor assistance staff that handle investment-related complaints and questions from tens of thousands of individual investors and others every year. Investors can seek assistance by calling 1-800-SEC-0330, or that's 1-800-732-0330, or by visiting help.sec.gov. We also conduct investor education outreach events virtually and in person, like we're doing here today. And we also want to help the public become more knowledgeable about investing.
Well, thank you for that background. Investing certainly is an important tool to help us achieve our financial goals, but it is complex and intimidating to many. Can you share a little bit about how to get started with investing?
You know, whether you're new to investing or a seasoned investor, investor.gov has free, unbiased information to help you at every stage of your investing journey. You know, here are some investing basics to help you get started. You know, first, think about your financial goals and create a plan that can help you achieve those goals. Create a budget that includes necessities, like having your living expenses, and then discretionary expenses, like entertainment. Then include your financial goals, whether it's buying a house, paying off debt, putting money away for a rainy day fund, or planning for retirement. Second, think about how long you need to invest to reach your financial goals. Consider your risk tolerance, your goals timeline, and risk tolerance can give you an idea of the best investment products for you. Third, consider an investment portfolio that includes a diverse set of assets, which can better prepare you for market changes. A great strategy is to create a long-term investing plan and to stick to it. investing in products that help you achieve your financial goals. And it's important to keep the money that you've invested safe from scams and fraud.
So how big of a problem is investment fraud?
You know, investment fraud was one of the top 5 frauds last year, according to data from the Federal Trade Commission, with losses totaling at least $5.7 billion. And yes, that's billions with a B. The best thing we can do to prevent fraud is what we're doing right now. Just talk about it. Talk about it with your friends and family members, as well as the public. This week, we marked World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, which is an annual opportunity for communities around the world to promote a better understanding of abuse and neglect in older persons. It includes frauds and other forms of financial exploitation. So this week is a great time for us to have this conversation. You know, although younger people reported losing money more to fraud than older people, when people over the age of 70 lost money, they lost much more money. Older adults may have accumulated more savings than people, say, younger than 30, but they have less time and fewer opportunities to make up financial losses. So it's particularly important for older adults to know how to protect themselves and their assets. We have a page dedicated on investor.gov to older investors and their unique needs, but everyone needs to keep an eye out for investment fraud.
And yes, I would recommend that. It's a very good webpage. So what are some of the types of investment frauds?
You know, there are a few types of investment fraud that have been around for years, like impersonation schemes where someone pretends to be from a government agency or a legitimate investment professional trying to trick you into investing, or an advance fee fraud where a scammer asks you to pay a fee up front in advance of receiving any proceeds, money, stock, or warrants in order for the deal to go through. There are red flags to keep an eye out for all types of investment fraud. And those include, you know, promises of great wealth, promises of guaranteed returns with no risk, pressure to act now, and also be wary if someone is asking you to pay for an investment product with credit cards, gift cards, peer-to-peer payment apps, or crypto assets. Investor.gov has a few more red flags that you can check out, as well as more information on different types of investment scams.
Well, definitely good information. Now, are there any new or emerging scams that our viewers might have not heard of about?
Yeah, that's a great question, Susan. This year, we actually had our public service campaign focus on the devastating impact that relationship investment scams can have on their financial futures. We posted videos and a resource page on this type of scam on investor.gov/relationship scams. I believe we're able to show one of the videos now.
Every day, thousands of messages like this are received. Most are ignored or deleted, but occasionally someone responds. To scammers, that's an opportunity. One that opens the door to a relationship investment scam, a long con where scammers try to form a personal or romantic connection to steal your money through phony investments. Don't open the door to scammers. Learn how to protect yourself at investor.gov/relationship scams. Before you invest, investor.gov.
That was 30 seconds, but essentially it basically works like this. A stranger connects with you on social media or through a messaging or dating website or app, or a random person might text you pretending to be an old friend. They may even send you a message that seems intended for someone else, hoping that you'll respond out of politeness. They might say, "Hey, are we still meeting at 5 o'clock tomorrow?" Or, "I love your profile." The scammer often spends months building trust through friendship, romance, or an offer to help achieve financial goals before they begin to defraud you. And once they've established a friendship or relationship, the scammers might even offer investing advice or suggest you use their financial advisor or trading platform, use the same one that they use. No matter how trustworthy someone might seem, don't make investment decisions based on the advice of anyone who makes unsolicited contact with you online through an app or a text message. Do your own independent research and ask questions.
Well, it does sound a lot like a romance scam. Is that right?
You know, it's similar, but a couple things set this type of scam apart from the classic romance scam. These scammers aren't always seeking romance. You know, sometimes they try to connect or form a relationship or a friendship or business networking relationship. Also in a relationship investment scam, they aren't asking you directly for money. Instead, they're asking you to invest your money, often in complicated schemes that turn out to be fake. The scammer may show what appears to be returns on your investment. So it looks like you're making a profit. And this is it looks like a legitimate investment app or a website, and you may even be able to take some money out, but eventually the scammer steals your money. Most of these scams are operated internationally with very little chance that you'll ever see your hard-earned money again.
Lori, what should people do to avoid relationship investment scams?
Most importantly, if you receive an email or a text message from a person, or number or email address that you don't recognize, it's a red flag of fraud, especially if the message is vaguely worded or appears aimed at someone else. Don't respond. Instead, ignore or delete it, block the sender, and report their messages. Resist the urge to be polite. If you think you may have been caught up in one of these scams, remember this one thing. When in doubt, try to take it out. Try withdrawing your money. If you can't withdraw your money, or if the individual tells you that you need to pay a tax or a transaction fee to access your funds, it's most likely a scam. Stop communicating with the individual immediately and don't give them any more money. And for more information about relationship investment scams, visit investor.gov/relationship scams.
So how should an investor, if you know a particular investment opportunity is right for them, does it make sense for folks to work with an investment professional?
The answer to both of those questions is actually do your research before you invest or work with an investment professional. Not every investment is right for everyone. Every investment opportunity should consider your financial goals, your risk tolerance, and your time horizon. And if you want to work with an investment professional, even if they come highly recommended by a friend or family member, make sure they're licensed or registered, and you can conduct a background check on them by using our search tool on investor.gov. It's a great first step toward protecting your hard-earned money.
Well, any final thoughts for our audience?
If you don't mind, I'm going to give your viewers a bit of homework that can help them protect their financial future, no matter their age. Don't worry, it's not going to be graded. And as we all know, life is rarely predictable, but you can take these steps to better prepare for the unknown. For example, organize your important documents now and keep them up to date. Without giving up your passwords or other sensitive information, make a list of important account information, contact information, and policy numbers from these documents. Give a copy of the list to a trusted family member or trusted person to make sure they know where you keep the information. You can even add a trusted contact person to your brokerage account. A trusted contact is a person your brokerage firm will contact if your firm believes that your account might have been exposed to possible financial exploitation or fraud. Your broker will also contact your trusted contact in other situations too. For example, if they are having trouble reaching you, or if they suspect you are sick or suffering from diminished capacity. Naming someone as a trusted contact person does not give that person authority to act on your behalf. They cannot execute transactions or engage in activity in your account. I know that we've covered a lot of ground here, but I'd like to conclude our discussion by mentioning our website and contact information just one more time. Before you invest, I encourage your viewers to go to investor.gov and take full advantage of the free financial planning tools and resources available on how to invest wisely and avoid fraud. And please remember, we're here to help. Reach out to us with your investing questions or complaints by calling 1-800-732-0330 or visiting help.sec.gov. And most importantly, thank you, Susan, for giving us the opportunity to speak with your viewers today about these important topics.
Well, I can say that there's a lot of things that I need to be doing myself. So thank you so much, Lori. This was great information on the services by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission and how people can prevent investment fraud. Now, if you have a consumer issue, please contact us at 703-222-8435. You can like us on Facebook at Fairfax County Consumer Affairs or visit our website at www.fairfaxcounty.gov/cable consumer. Join us next time for Consumer Connection. Have a great week and at this point, stay dry.